This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, new restrictions being imposed by government officials across the country as the coronavirus is spreading more quickly than ever. But there is hope with new vaccines now on the way. We're going to talk to CBN News medical reporter Lori Johnson. President Donald Trump reportedly considered a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. We're going to take a look at the growing threat from Iran with our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. Two women from very different worlds. We're going to tell you how they came together to help bridge the racial divide with a powerful message. And as Americans remain polarized over so many issues, we're going to hear from one Christian leader about how believers can best be an example by following the biblical mandate. All those stories are ahead today in CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with the growing number of restrictions being imposed by governors and mayors across the country as the coronavirus resurgence is shattering records. And experts warn it could overwhelm the healthcare system with nearly 70,000 hospitalized as of Sunday. And November is set to be the worst month yet.
The situation has never been more dire.
We are now moving backwards, not forwards.
There is also good news now that Moderna has joined Pfizer in announcing a coronavirus vaccine, with Moderna saying its vaccine is nearly 95% effective.
We hope that because of Moderna and Pfizer's vaccines, which we've already been producing, to have enough by the end of December to vaccinate 20 million of our most vulnerable citizens.
And here to tell us more about these new vaccines is our CBN News medical reporter, Lori Johnson. So when will the vaccines be available to the public? That's, of course, what everyone wants to know.
Right. So it looks like between 4 and 6 weeks from now, they will be available, but only the most vulnerable Americans are going to be eligible to get those first shots. We're talking about people who are in the healthcare industry, people who are in nursing homes and so forth. It's estimated that there will be 20 million doses available of the Pfizer and 20 million of the other one, the Moderna one. So that's about 40 million people by the end of the year. The rest of the population, there will be about 25 million of both of these shots available each month after that. So probably the entire country will be getting vaccinated by March or April. And again, these are people who want to get the vaccine. We know that about half of everybody is very hesitant. That may change after a while, though.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about this messenger RNA technology?
Well, it's never been used before for mass vaccinations. Both the Moderna and the Pfizer use messenger RNA technology. Typical vaccines require growing a virus and in cells over a long period of time. It's very expensive, and sometimes the live virus is injected into patients, or an inactivated virus, or the protein from the virus. That's typically what's done. This is actually genetic material that's injected into the patient, and the body makes their own protein of the coronavirus, not the virus itself, just a protein of it, which elicits an immune response. Not just antibodies, which is what we normally see, but also T cells, which also fight pathogens.
Wow. What other vaccines are in the pipeline? Because we know we're talking about 2 now, but there are more.
Right. There are 2 others that are in final phase 3 trials. We're talking about Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. So those trials could be complete pretty soon. We might see those approved in February. And then there are 7 others that are about to enter into phase 3 trials. And so we'll be seeing more vaccines coming down the pipeline. We do know that there are 350 million people in the United States, but also we'll be providing vaccines to the entire world. So the more, the better.
Mm-hmm. We understand that some vaccines use cell lines from aborted babies, but not all of them.
That's correct. And so there's the Charlotte Lozier Institute, which is a division of the Susan B. Anthony Group, which is a very pro-life organization. They've looked into all the vaccines and which ones use these cell lines from 2 aborted babies that were aborted decades ago, and these cells have been manipulated so that they continually reproduce all these many years later. And so they say that the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines do not use these cell lines because of the messenger RNA technology, but that the Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca and some others do. So people can go to their website to get all the information about this issue, Charlotte Lozier Institute.
All right. Now, you have a new episode of Healthy Living this evening. Can you tell us what's ahead?
It's really a great show, because I'm talking to Reverend Percy McRae, who founded the Cancer Care Ministries organization. And basically, they train people in churches all across America about how to institute a cancer care ministry in their own home churches, because so many people in congregations are dealing with cancer, and we need to help them and not just take them meals, but other things too. And so this is a lot of information about how to do that. So Healthy Living tonight at 9:30. All
right. Thank you so much, Lori. Again, I want to remind you, you can, as she said, watch Healthy Living this evening. It's at 9:30. And of course, you can find that on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, an attack on Iran. A new report says President Donald Trump considered it after inspectors found Iran could be getting closer to building a nuclear weapon. We're going to take a look at the potential nuclear threat from Iran when we come back. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
President Donald Trump asked senior advisors last Thursday if he had any options to take action against Iran's primary nuclear site in the weeks ahead. The report comes today from the New York Times, which says the meeting came a day after international inspectors said there was a significant increase in Iran's stockpile of nuclear material. The advisors persuaded the president not to move ahead with the military attack, saying it could turn into a large-scale battle in the final weeks of his presidency. That report last week about Iran's growing stockpile of enriched uranium has many experts concerned the rogue nation is further along in developing a nuclear bomb than anyone suspected. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now from Jerusalem.
Before the proverbial ink was even dry on the Iranian nuclear deal signed in 2015, Iran has pushed its limits.
Slow but consistent breaching of the limitations that Iran took upon itself when it signed the JCPOA in the summer of 2015. Now, it's doing it step by step.
While misbehavior like that led President Trump to pull out of the international agreement, Iran's tactics seem to be working. The most recent report of the UN's International Atomic Energy Agency discovered Iran now has 12 times the amount of low-enriched uranium allowed by the so-called deal. According to the Institute for Science and International Security, Iran's estimated breakout time as of late September 2020 is as short as 3.5 months. That time frame would be early 2021, but that element is just the first of 2 steps towards a nuclear weapon.
The other point is how to assemble a nuclear device. It's not the same. How you create the device to start the nuclear reaction.
That makes the major question. How long would it take for Iran to have a nuclear bomb?
I would say that if Iran decides that it puts away all kind of international respect and oversight considerations and go fast forward, then Iran can become nuclear, fully nuclear, meaning with the ability to put a bomb on a missile, etc., between 3 and 5 years.
Well, tonight I'm here to tell you one thing. Iran lied.
In April 2018, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went on prime time to unveil thousands of documents taken straight from Iran's secret atomic archives.
What we found in the archives is a good answer to all those who said, the Iranians are not serious. The archive gave us a clear picture of very serious project, which was very much advanced.
For Israel, the question of a nuclear Iran remains a daily exercise.
Our philosophy is very clear. We are getting every morning, we ask ourselves, will tomorrow be too late? If the answer is no, we are going for another day. And when the minute will come, if the minute will come, and we will have to answer ourselves, yes, tomorrow will be too late, then we will have to ask ourselves, okay, what we are doing.
It's clear after facing the potential of a nuclear Iran, Israel has been preparing to answer that question for a long time.
And CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now with more. So, Chris, is Israel ready if the U.S. launches a strike, either missile or cyber strike?
Well, Ephraim, I would say that they're never not ready. This is a threat that Israel has prepared for decades. And you have to realize that they are watching Iran 24/7, 365 days a year to know what Iran is doing. They almost struck in 2012. That was when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu actually went to the cabinet to ask that they could attack Iran. They decided no at that time. But, you know, they have to have many contingency plans, and the coordination with the IDF and the Pentagon is very close. So if the U.S. decided to attack, Israel would certainly be ready.
If Israel launches an attack by itself without the U.S., what form would it take?
Well, this is just conjecture, but this is certainly part of what would happen if Israel ever attacked Iran's nuclear facilities. First of all, they'd use their advanced fighters, the F-35I, the F-16Is, and they would actually be able to fly over Saudi airspace. You would have to imagine that with now the Abraham Accords and this rapprochement, this new relationship between the Sunni Arab states in the Gulf. There would likely be cyber attacks, drones, special operations. You know, there would be a major project because Iran's nuclear facilities, they're spread out. They remember 1981 and 2007. In 1981, Israel took out Iraq's nuclear facility. In 2007, they took out Syria's nuclear facilities. So what Iran has done is they've spread their nuclear facilities all over the country. And so if Israel did attack Ephraim, you know, Israel would have to be prepared for retaliation. You know, Hezbollah, which is Iran's proxy in the north, has about 150,000 missiles pointed at Israel right now. Hamas in the south has thousands of missiles as well. You would expect that missiles may come from Iran and even drones, because remember, in September of 2019, Iran had a coordinated missile and drone attack on Saudi Arabia's largest oil refining facility. So you would expect that would be a retaliation by Iran and its proxies if Israel ever decided to attack.
Aside from military action, how can the U.S. or Israel slow Iran's nuclear program down now?
Well, certainly there could be special operations. Just in that report we had, Ephraim, you saw that the Mossad actually smuggled out, Iran's atomic archives. That's an amazing, project by Mossad. Also, Natanz, in July of 2020, this year, there was a spectacular operation as well. Some people are calling it Jewish Ocean's 11. What they did in Natanz is they were able to take explosive into one of the most sensitive Iranian nuclear facilities and blow much of that up. So that was certainly one of the things they're going to do. Also, cyber warfare. We know Stuxnet was a successful cyber warfare attack against many of those centrifuges in Iran. That happened several years ago. And also the economic pressure on Iran is something that helps put pressure, economic pressure, on the regime. It's likely they probably have their own separate budget for the nuclear program, but certainly that puts a lot of pressure on the Iranian regime. And Ephraim, the IAEA report that just came out, it's just the latest sign that this situation is the most dangerous, not only in the Middle East, but I would expect the world as well. So, right now we actually are talking about the possibility. We talked about that in 2008 when President Bush at the time was going to be going out of office, but we'll see what happens right now.
All right, one to watch indeed. Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your time. Still ahead, here at home, two women, each from a different world, who come together with a powerful message to bridge the racial divide. We're going to share their story right after this.
If you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time: keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Two women, two vastly different worlds. These unlikely friends have come together to bridge the racial divide with a powerful message inspired by a dream. Charlene Aaron brings us their unique story of sisterhood.
In this time when racial tensions are high, a recent Gallup poll found that the perception of white-black relationships has fallen to a new low, with less than half of the country rating it as good. Now, two women from different cultures and backgrounds hope their relationship will point the way to understanding and healing. Alveda King, niece of civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Ginger Howard, a Republican National Committee woman, share a passion for moral and social justice. Meeting a few years back, the women quickly formed a bond of sisterhood, often spending time at each other's homes and shopping together. They never thought about writing a book about racial reconciliation in America until about 2 years ago.
I had a dream one night that she and I wrote a book on racial reconciliation. I called her, left her a message. She called me back. I told her about my dream. She said, let's do it.
In We're Not Colorblind, Healing the Racial Divide, the women highlight the importance of seeing people, no matter their race, in the image of God.
There are differences of ethnicity, but of one blood, God made all people to live together on the face of the earth. So we know that the human race, regardless of skin color and regardless of ethnicity, is one race.
They also share painful memories from their past, something Howard admits she struggled to write about, including growing up in a family with a separate bathroom for their black maid.
It really was hard, and in a way, I didn't think that I didn't really want to, but between Alveda and one of my little Bible study girls, and she said to me one day when I was talking to her about that chapter, and I said, this is really hard, I just don't want to put it in. And she said, Ginger, it's your history. You need to, just like our country's history, it's okay. You need to say this.
King writes about how she once hated whites after her uncle and her father were killed during the Civil Rights Movement.
I had feelings when my uncle, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. And the next year, my dad, a week after I was married, he walked me down the aisle. He was killed. And so as a college student, during the time that my uncle was killed, I wanted to blame white people.
As a Christian, she has learned the lesson of forgiveness, and more importantly, going to its source.
I can't forgive people on my own. And when I'm feeling odd or bitterness, I say, Holy Spirit, I just can't do this. So please, will you come in and help me to do this?
Seeing recent unrest and protests play out across the country, King empathizes with young people who are angry and demanding justice.
There's the organization and there's the movement. Now, the movement, Black lives actually do matter. I don't think many people would disagree with that.
As the country struggles in 2020, the authors see special timing in the release of their book, written 2 years ago, as a divine tool for the times.
There are many times that I would call Alveda so upset. Alveda, why is it going to be, why can't we get it published? Why isn't this and why isn't that? And Alveda, in her wisdom, she always is so kind and so patient with me, but she just said, Ginger, God's timing is perfect.
In the end, King quotes the words of her late uncle as the way forward.
I really want to encourage people not to be fighting and arguing with your family members, with your church members, with people at work. We have to, my uncle said we must learn to live together as brothers, I'll add as sisters, or perish together as fools. How are we going to treat others? Are we going to be doing envy and strife and bringing confusion? Or are we going to embrace each other and love each other?
Howard agrees, believing God wants to use multi-ethnic relationships as shining examples of his love.
Jesus is the only answer. He was the one that sent reconciliation. He gave us the ministry of reconciliation.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, during this time of deep political division in our country, one Christian leader says believers can set an example for others by following a biblical mandate. We're going to hear what he has to say when we come back. Please stay with us.
Having sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
It's like a great attraction.
Let's start to chain reaction. When I'm on satisfaction, I love the way this joy makes me move. Yeah, I got that. I dance around because I know it. I move around because I got it. Joy's in the heart. I dance around because I know it. I move around because I got it. Joy's in the heart. Joy's in the heart.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
The outcome of the presidential election reveals a deep divide in America, and churches across the country mirror that political division. In the middle of the heated debate, many are calling for believers to set the example by following the biblical mandate of peace. Our CBN News program, The Prayer Link, recently asked Dr. A.R. Bernard of the Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn how the church should lead in this critical time.
We all have inherent dispositions, convictions, and sensitivities that influence our political choices. And I think this political season has found us as Americans trapped between our hopes and our fears. And this is not the first time that we've experienced this in American history, but it is really difficult and challenging in the spaces that we're occupying right now, especially in the context of our faith. So I think prayer is critical because prayer elevates the mind. It brings our thoughts, our perceptions, and perspectives under divine influence. So we get God's mind on it, not just our own tending to be slanted mind. It elevates our heart. It brings our passions, our feelings, and emotions under the divine influence to really live out, love our neighbor.
And you can hear more of Dr. A.R. Bernard's insights on the Prayer Link. It begins this evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, and you can find it on the CBN News Channel. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable, and today I leave you with this thought. Hope that you will post, tag, tweet, and share it with others. A dark and painful ending is sometimes the birth of a bright new beginning. It's all in your perspective, and this is a great day to look ahead to all the wonderful things yet to come. We've seen many things in recent months and much of the year die and end. Still, there are many things that are only just beginning. With that word, make today a terrific Tuesday and do it on purpose. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them there online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at the address right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We've enjoyed your company today. We'll see you right back here same time tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody, and God bless you.